Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, and today I'll be reading a Neuvillette listener by me. So let's get into it. You never really guessed that those little creatures of Fontaine, called the melusines, would be the schemers that they were. To be honest, they looked very cute and acted that way. They didn't have a single mean bone in their bodies. So we still wondered sometimes how they would scheme so well, and how they came to do all of this planning, just to make sure that their plan goes the way they want, without a single hitch. And so, it only made this day a lot weirder. But it all started with you going to Neuvillette's office. You had some matters to talk about, and it was very important, besides you actually wanting to see him. But little did you know that there would be a lot of things to keep you two in that room for as long as they could. Once you were in, Sidine glanced at the other melusine and grinned, because they were about to set their little plan into motion to make sure that the two of you did not get out of that room, and actually told your feelings for each other and talked them out. They couldn't handle Neuvillette just swooning over you like that. The way he talked about you, like you hung the stars in the sky, without even noticing. Even though, even for the melusines, it was very difficult for them to even notice those human emotions, but they could see it. And yet, he didn't even seem to notice his own, or yours for that matter, because they noticed that too. The way you blushed around him, the way sometimes you would stutter or stare at him for far too long. It was a little bit too obvious, and it would be insulting to their intelligence if they did not notice such obvious and very, very loud signs. It was all very clear. You loved him, and he loved you dearly. So, it was very important that they made sure that the two of you got what you wanted here. And that's why, as you sat with Neuvillette and talked over your new project, they tried to actually do everything to keep you inside. At first, the two of you didn't notice anything suspicious when they told Neuvillette that something came up, and the two of you would have to discuss more parts of that project, since some funding problems occurred, and so you would have to rework a very important and big part. Oh, well, that is unfortunate. I'm sure we can work it around another day, Wayan. You don't have to rush. No, Monsieur Neuvillette. You have to do it now. Why is that, Sidine? Well, you see, we are nearing the deadline. We don't want to reach that. And you thought it was a fair point. It was very easy to convince him, and you also trusted Sidine enough to actually not pause and check, because the deadline was a month later for just the blueprint. And yet, here you were, the two of you thinking you were mistaken about this deadline, and making sure to rework everything as fast as possible. And that kept you in for 3 hours more. But, as you were about to leave, someone brought in cake and dinner. You see, Miss Wayan, you've worked very hard. We can't let you go home on an empty stomach. Come on, I brought dinner for you and Monsieur Neuvillette. Isn't that right? I thought you would want that, she asked, feeling a little bit shy and nervous. She was being a little bit too forward today, but it was all part to do this greater good. And Neuvillette, on his part, smiled. Oh, you are just in time. I'm glad you did this. You have nice foresight. Now, if you may leave us alone, we have to discuss some important matters. Of course. I'll leave you two to it, she said. and the two of you were left alone as you started to eat the food, smiling at him. You know, the melusines can be very cute sometimes. That is true. They are some of my favorite things in this world. But I guess I could say there is something else that I hold very dear. Something else? What do you mean? What is that something? I mean, if you would be okay with me knowing, you don't have to feel forced to tell me or anything. Oh, I would never feel that way. It is merely that I find it quite odd that this is happening. That I am finally finding the courage to say these words. Neuvillette, what are you getting at? You ask, blushing and feeling nervous. But then he stands up and moves closer to you, and then kneels down before you, the Chief Justice of Fontaine, kneeling and holding your hand as he looks into your eyes. It is you, Ion. You're that precious thing. You are just as important as them, the melusines, who mean a lot to me, but in a different way. I love you. I'm not sure if you will trust me when I say that I love you, for I have not felt these feelings before towards anyone. But I know what my heart is saying. I've asked many people, and they all say the same. So I do love you, and I am sure that I need you like I need air or water. So please, even if you do not share my feelings, do not dismiss their presence. You're frozen, just by how honest he was being and how vulnerable all of this was. But then, immediately, you just wrapped your arms around him and kissed him, making him completely freeze before he melted into it, closing his eyes and pulling you even closer. And soon, as the two of you enjoyed each other, the rain began to drizzle down gently in Fontaine, and a little cheer was heard from outside the door as the rainbow was seen across the sky, paired with a gentle rain of happiness, and the cheers of melusines for a plan well done.